the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. O heavenly King, Comforter, Spirit of truth, everywhere present and fillest all things, treasury of blessings and giver of life, come and dwell within us, cleanse us of all stain, and save our souls, O gracious one. Bishop Strickland calls out Rome for weaponized ambiguity on women, homosexual blessings.
Big confusion from Rome. In fact, it was discovered by Dan Montagna, a reporter, Vatican reporter, who's very much into languages, particularly Italian. She's just perfect in Italian. When she looked at the texts, she discovered, lo and behold, in the Italian, in the official text, paragraph 38 of Fiducia Supplicans, because in the beginning it does talk very specifically about the possibility of blessing for irregular couples and same-sex couples. So we're talking about couples already, and that created much consternation, particularly in Africa. But she discovered something even beyond that, because in America, particularly, there were people arguing about, no, it's for individuals, but it says couples. But yes, but the text says individuals. And then came something of a bombshell when she reports that, wait a minute, actually in the Italian original, it doesn't say for individuals. It talks about for them. In the German, für sie, which is a totally plural, it's not. And in Spanish, para ellos, and in other languages, there's about 5 languages there. Even in Dutch, we check, it's not Dutch, excuse me, Polish, it also is the plural only. So somehow there's some fooling around going on, making in English I don't know, it's some kind of leaning toward perhaps a more orthodox interpretation, because, well, that's where all the pushback comes from, usually in English-speaking countries. And now it's English-speaking Africa and America as well. What's your take on that? It was just...
All right, before we hear Bishop Strickland's take on it, I want to show you what he's referring to. Now, this is the definition of what's called sophistry, which is odd because it's usually the critics who take this position who say that I and others who defend the magisterium engage in sophistry. But this is actually the definition of sophistry. Here is a distinction without a difference, and I'm going to show it to you. But to recap, the concern that a lot of people have had is that the blessings in question is for a relationship, for a disordered relationship. And I've often pointed out in the document over and over and over, the object of the blessing is not for the relationship or the union. The document is very explicit about that. It is for the persons who are in this disordered relationship. So for the couple, a couple is 2 individuals in a relationship. The object of the blessing is for the 2 individuals, not for their relationship. And I even pointed out in paragraph 38, I was the first one to bring this up. Hey, in paragraph 38, it even notes in the English that the object of the blessing is for individuals. And what they're trying to do is say, well, but that's the English. In these other languages, it says for them. I'm going to show you why this is a distinction without a difference. Let me share my screen and you can follow along with the document. The problem for them still remains, because for them is the same as individuals. Because let me ask you a question. If we are talking about a blessing for 2 people in a relationship, and the blessing is for the 2 people, for them, what is that? That's for 2 individuals, right? Therefore, you can say it's for them, and you can also say it's for individuals. It's a both and, not either or. They're not mutually exclusive. But somehow they're engaging in this sophistry to where they think this somehow means that there's a difference between for them, a blessing for them, versus a blessing for individuals. It's the same thing. Who do you think them is? Is them a relationship? Does the pronoun them describe a relationship? Honest question, grammatically, in whatever language. Of course not. It refers to persons. When you speak of them, you're talking about persons, not a relationship. So this was a distinction without a difference, and my original point remains. Let me show it to you on the screen. Paragraph 38. For this reason, one should neither provide for nor promote a ritual for the blessing of couples in an irregular situation. Now, notice we're talking about blessings for couples. Now, how is couples understood? Is it for their relationship or is it for the two people who make up this couple? Well, it will tell you. Watch what it says. At the same time, one should not prevent or prohibit the church's closeness to people in every situation in which they might seek God's help through a simple blessing. Notice it's for people. In a brief prayer preceding the spontaneous blessing, the ordained minister could ask that the individuals have peace, health, and a spirit of patience, dialogue, and mutual assistance, but also that God's light and strength be able to fulfill his will completely, to be able to fulfill his will completely. So, my argument is couples here is the blessing of couples is understood according to this paragraph as a blessing for persons. You can even see that here where it says people, and here where it says individuals. Now, they tried to get around this as if it's saying it's a blessing for the relationship. They tried to get around this, as you just heard, by saying, but wait, in these other languages, it says for them, not for individuals. So you come down here to the Spanish, and it uses a Spanish term that indicates for them, para ellos, right? And then in Italian, it uses, I think it's costoro, if I recall correctly, which is found right here, costoro. Now, costoro could mean these, them. It could mean each of them, by the way. Each of them. It could mean that. But it doesn't really matter. But they're trying to argue here, well, you see here it's referring to plural for them, but in the English, it's for individuals. That's the argument. Now, again, this is a distinction without a difference. The individuals translation is a dynamic equivalency of what they're saying in these other languages. It's no different. Because again, if the blessing is for them, who's the them? The couple. What's a couple? Two individuals in a relationship. Well, it's not a blessing for their union or their relationship, as the document is explicit. What's left? The two individuals, which is why it says in the context the blessing is for people, and again translated into English as individuals. So either way, it doesn't matter. You can translate it for them. Who's them? It's not a relationship. A them is not a relationship. Okay. If a them was a relationship, every time you have, as I've belabored to say in multiple videos, every time you have a divorce, the people would cease to exist. They would disappear off planet Earth. There's obviously a difference between the them and the relationship, right? So for them, blessing for them is a blessing for two individuals. It's the same thing. But now they're trying to say that somehow this gets them out of the predicament. No, it doesn't, because the object of the blessing is still for them, for individuals, not for their union. So you still have the difficulty of the angle that you've been taking with the document. And then number two, are we seriously to believe that there was this plot in the Vatican? Let me go and change the English version and make it more orthodox. Make it more orthodox. But then over here in the Spanish and Italian, it's going to be more liberal. This is what you have to resort to when you dissent against the church. Desperate takes like this. So somebody in the Vatican plotted, made it more orthodox in English. Okay. Really? Again, them is two individuals. So it's harmonious. It means the same thing. You don't have to resort to this grand conspiracy, mwahahaha conspiracy theory that they're trying to make it more orthodox for the English speaking world. You don't have to resort to these kinds of desperate tactics. What kind of sophistry is this? Just say, hey guys, we were wrong. Sorry. Just admit it. Now, I don't honestly think that LifeSite News or even Bishop Strickland are going to admit it at this point. I don't believe so. I don't really have any hope that they're going to at this point. It'd be great if they do, but I don't really have any hope. I do this video not to convince them because I don't believe they will be convinced. I do this video for the people who are caught in the middle of all this stuff and don't know what to think. I do this video for you, for those of you who still have an open mind. Do you see how desperate they've become? Do you see how absurd this is? That should tell you something. Now, let's continue. I want to get Bishop Strickland's thoughts on it. Let's hear what he has to say. Oh, and by the way, I did find this kind of comical. Poor guy. This guy asked, I deleted his name because I didn't want him to, I didn't want his name to be in there because it's not about who said this. But look at what they asked whenever Diane posted that distinction without a difference and thought that somehow there's this big conspiracy theory to change the English when again the English translation, the dynamic equivalency there is again dynamically the same as what you have in the other languages. But watch what this person does. God bless them. He says, sincerely, what is the difference between ask for them peace and help and ask that the individuals have peace and help? This is an honest question. God bless him. He's trying. He's trying to understand these critics. He's like, guys, what really is the difference between a blessing for them and blessing of the individuals? Because the them is two individuals. So it seems to be the same thing. Yeah, you got it. You were right. You were right. The guy who asked the question, and it's a sincere question, God bless you. You got it. You understood. There is no difference. That's the point. They're trying to sell you a bill of goods telling you there's a difference when there's no difference. It means the same thing. A them is individuals, two individuals, the people who are in this relationship, the two people. It is not a relationship because you can't describe a relationship as a them. You can't describe a union as a them. You can, however, describe two individuals as a them. Right? God bless the guy. He got it. He understood it. He was picking up on it. And yeah, okay. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see the full video, go to the link in the description. And also, while you're at it, hit the subscribe button. God bless. Are you a Catholic thinking about converting to Eastern Orthodoxy? Or are you a Protestant discerning whether or not to become Catholic or Eastern Orthodox? If so, I have the book just for you. It's called Answering Orthodoxy. It engages all of the arguments that Eastern Orthodox use against the Catholic Church. I respond to all of them. I show that they are in error, and in fact, they're inconsistent, because the things that Orthodox are objecting to are in fact found in their own tradition. So the fullness of the faith can only be found in the Catholic Church. Check out the book right now at shop.catholic.com for your copy today.